So yeah, this weekend I played a game called DC Superhero Girls Teen Power, but I went in and played two chapters, or I completed 2 chapters. I'm on chapter 3 so far, and it's an interesting game. It's basically like a 3D brawler, and you play as a variety of, I guess, girl versions of superheroes, although some of these are, I don't know, some of these are actually already just girl characters. Like, I think Batgirl's like a real thing. I'm gonna be upfront with you, I don't know anything about DC. Anyways, so you play as like a variety of superpowered girls that are all like teens in high school kind of thing. And it's based off a TV show, as far as I'm aware. I have not ever seen a TV show or anything like that. So very much a kids-focused property for sure. And it's basically like a 3D brawler. You know, you have a variety of basic combos that you can do where you basically, you know, smash the Y button, and at the end of that is like a combo finisher, and that will basically stun or push back enemies. And depending on the girl you're playing, there's different types of finishers. Like Supergirl has like this fist that grows and like will punch enemies and launch them far off, where Wonder Woman has like a spin attack that will hit multiple enemies away and things like that. And it's kind of built around a couple different mechanics. One is dodging, which essentially is just if you dodge like right as something attacks you, you get the ability to basically counter an enemy. Instead of like doing a combo, you just go straight into your finisher, so you just go ahead and slam down on the enemy or whatever the character's attack is. And then you have a variety of other smaller skills. So you have like a additional ranged attack that you can get that's basically free for you to use whenever. And then you have 2 skills on cooldowns, one being like usually like something that's more about manipulating the enemy, whether that be freezing them or like with the Wonder Woman, like throwing the golden lasso and pulling them down and tripping them, things like that. And then you have like a super move that basically is like a big area clearing move, and both of those are on cooldown timers, so you have to wait for those to charge. But it feels pretty good to play overall. I think it's a solid 3D brawler in that regard. Is it particularly challenging? I wouldn't say so. I haven't really had too much trouble with dying or anything like that. There's a lot of like things you can go collect in the environment for extra money, and so you can use that money to buy different clothing, and you can also buy buildings. We'll get into that in a little bit with the open world aspect of the game. But yeah, it's just like a very solid brawler. The one thing that I think is kind of neat about it is, even if, you know, the game isn't particularly challenging, each mission starts with 3 challenges for you. So that can be completing a level within a particular period of time, not dropping below a certain amount of HP, or also like doing a particular number of combos, or doing a particular number of dodges and then counterattacks, basically. So there is like kind of an incentive there for you to play well, and you get like money and EXP as a reward for doing that. So it's not just like, hey, I'm just gonna, you know, mash it out and just eat all this damage. It's worth like trying to really dodge and play the game well to try to get those extra points. My only real gripe with that system is that they don't show you the objectives by default. You have to pause the game to see what the sub-objectives are for a mission, which, I don't know, that's weird. I kind of wish they just showed it to you at the start and then like let it fall off screen afterwards, rather than making you press the start button to pull it up. You can replay missions later, so I'm assuming that when you do that, they probably are more upfront with those sub-objectives. Maybe the intention is that you more tackle them, you know, after the fact rather than on your first time through. But I think it's a cool way to like keep a player engaged who, you know, isn't being particularly challenged by the game, but, you know, do like recognize they need to do a bit more to get that like extra EXP and money. So with that EXP and money, you can kind of dress up your characters. There's a handful of outfits so far that, well, I say a handful, it's more like there's like 2 or 3 base outfits you can choose, and then there's like recolored versions of those. I'm not sure how much that expands later on, and those clothes are based on, well, the initial clothing shop you go to is based on like your teen form. So it's when you're not transformed, you're just walking around the city as a girl, and then you can like switch out your outfits and things like that. But you also can get like superhero costumes too later on. So kind of how the open world of this game works is there is a series of hubs, basically. So you can be at the school. The school is a very simple hub. It's basically just like a strip of land. It's more of an introductory place that they drop you at the beginning of the game or at the beginning of a mission, and then you kind of talk with different students there, and then you go to the cities for actual things. And so far I have Old City, which is basically like the core hub of the game right now, and you basically go there and you can do a variety of quests. You can find some collectibles in the environment and things like that, and you'll get like EXP and money for all those. It's also, you know, where some of the main story stuff is, so you get into battles there and you'll fight within that city and things like that. But it is not like a huge open world game. It's very, these areas are very compact, especially like the school area is not really an open world area, but like Old City, there are like multiple alleys and multiple streets you can go down, but it's maybe only like 2 or 3 rows of streets per area essentially. But they feel like they have a density that make it feel like it is kind of an open world that you're exploring. You know, there's a lot of buildings, there's a lot of NPCs. The NPCs kind of remind me of Yokai Watch NPCs to some degree for some reason. And so you can kind of like go around and explore the city, you know, without having to do a lot of footwork, right? You basically just kind of go from little objective to objective, and usually there's a pretty nice cycle of finding new things to do, and then also finding like other things in the environment as you kind of go around the environment. So that's kind of Old City, and I like that. I like that design personally. I'm a big fan of compact areas that feel open. Even though you're just teens, at least so far in the game, in the main world, you can run around and you can jump on like different, like, you know, I forget what they're called, but like, you know, those cloth kind of overhangs over things, and then they'll bounce you up. There's also cars you can jump off that will bounce you up. So it gives you a lot of flexibility and kind of navigating the world, but it's not so flexible that you can just kind of go wherever. You do have to kind of like path out where you're going across the top of these buildings to get to certain things. So it's not just as up line like, okay, I just need to jump on something near here. You might need to jump on like one roof that's like across the area, then follow these beams that go all the way over to go find something on this particular roof. And I like that personally. I'm a big fan of like just trying to figure out that path finding. Again, just keeping it very, very compact and interesting in that particular area. There's also like a social media system in this game too, so you can go ahead and like do a few things. You can take pictures of things in the environment. There's like trending things at times, so like it'll be like pink parasols are in right now, so you can go and find different pink parasols in the environment, take pictures, and it'll get like likes and follows, and getting more likes and follows seems to basically allow you to access more quests, things like that. There's also like these logos they kind of go around and ask you to take pictures of for a particular quest line. I will say for the logos, I don't think they mark that you've taken a picture of a logo, so you just kind of have to remember whether or not you looked at a logo, which is kind of weird. That's probably my one gripe with the game, is just that logo system. But the reality is that like at the end of the day, this stuff is kind of throwaway for the most part. I mean, it's stuff to do in the environment. You get money and EXP for it, and it keeps it feeling busy. But it's not like I'm not going to kill myself over the logos not being something I can track easily, or anything like that. There's also another city as well. I forget what it's called. It's like something harbor. And with that city, it basically starts off completely blown up, essentially. And when you go there, there are quests and things you can do while you're there. But the big thing is that as you progress through the story, you can build buildings there. So the first building I made was like an apartment complex. I couldn't figure out what the apartment complex really did for me, honestly. I was like, okay, this is here, it's something, and it exists. But I did build a heroes outfit shop, so I can go to a outfit shop and buy new clothes for when my characters are transformed into their hero form, essentially. I'm not sure if you can ever go in the overworld as a hero. I'm very curious about that, because there's some weird things about like how Wonder Woman moves specifically. Like, she has a shield that lets you bounce around the environment if you like stick it in the walls. It's very not useful in combat, but like it would make more sense in like an open world environment where you're just kind of navigating around. And I don't really know why if there's no open world mechanic for being transformed, I don't really know why you need that skill. Like, you know, Supergirl can fly and things like that too. So, and you can switch between characters. I think there's up to 6 characters that you can play as. I have only unlocked 3, so it's Batgirl, Supergirl, and Wonder Woman. And I think the other ones are Harley Quinn, Catwoman or Catgirl, or what, I don't know what she's called in this game. I think there's like Stardust something. I don't know. I don't know any of these characters. So yeah. Aesthetically though, like, I mean, I think I said it earlier, this is based off like a kids TV show. And I'm gonna guess, you know, I've never seen anything about the kids TV show, but I'm gonna guess this game fits that style very well. And I think other than some really kind of awkwardly paced lines at the very beginning of the game, I'm not sure what was up with that. There's like 3 scenes where like characters just kind of repeat each other a little bit, and then it never really happens again after that. It's kind of bizarre. But once it gets going, essentially, the dialogue is very, very, very playful and fun. The voice acting seems really top notch, or at least I think it's good for what it is. Again, this is a kids show thing, so you know your expectations need to be in check, and for some people that's just never gonna work, right? But I think it's like aesthetically a nice looking game. It is. I'm not a huge fan of Western cartoons in terms of look. I definitely prefer like a more anime style. But you know, I think the visual style complements the game well and the tone well, and more importantly, probably, I think it fits on the Switch really well. The game runs great. I think this is the only platform it's on. I mean, Nintendo's publishing it, so that would be the case, at least right now. And I think it's a great looking game and it runs well. The biggest problem is just, you know, that whole thing on Switch where like things in the background run at like 3 frames per second instead. So sometimes you'll just see like a character in the background just like horribly animating and you're like, yeah, this is a Switch game. Anyways, I think it's like really good overall, and I think the big thing for me is the overworld. The overworld is really compact, really tight, and really strong. Even if the content that you're doing in there is not particularly unique, how they pack that content into the environment and how they round it out is just really well done. And I think that's very important for me in a game that's going to take that approach. I hate games that have a lot of space for no reason. And this game is very smart about the space it uses. And I think that's like something that's very commendable about the title in some ways. I really want to play more, but right now I'm just kind of backed up on games too, but I just have not been in a position to complete games lately, so yeah. But DC Superhero Girls, Teen Power, seems pretty alright. You should check it out if you liked the trailer. Take a look at it. If you're like cool with like games made for 12-year-olds, you should check it out, in my opinion.
That girl's on the case. Yeah.